All right, everybody. All right, so in this third episode, basically, we're going to continue building out things for our prospects. We've created the ability here to obviously create our prospects, edit our prospects, add contact details, deal with the profile image, switch all that stuff out. So that's great. So more or less, building out a prospect is done on there. I'll go back up to manage prospects here. We'll do a couple little housekeeping things first here, and I do apologize for my voice. I have a cold. Pretty sure it's a cold. Probably hear me drink some ginger tea here once in a while, so I'm not being rude. Sorry for the sipping if that's what you guys hear. At any rate, okay. So do little housekeeping things here as to how this looks. Maybe we'll make it a little more mobile responsive, so on and so forth. Let's go back to our code editor here. I'm going to start fresh. I haven't looked at this in over a week since I created the last video. So, and before I get going too far, let's increase the size so you guys can see this a little bit better. I might have to go out, depends. I'll probably get used to it, but at any rate. So I'll go to resources, go down to views, and I do believe it's an admin index. This is where our dashboard should be. Okay, great. I'm not going to do too much here. We're going to, let's see here. So we'll have to look at the actual card. So we'll go to the card. With whatever plugin I have, I don't remember what it is. I just end up pushing Alt and then clicking down on it to actually go to the file. So that's a really handy kind of ease of life thing there for us. So, but down here you go views, admin prospects, partials, prospect card. That's where we're at right now. And we might have to go in and get rid of our list styles, stuff like that. So I'll give this a class equal to, let's see here, list-style equals none. So we'll say style-none. And by the way, I've already fired up my server. I've already have MySQL running in the back there, and I have all my assets compiling over here. So let's go to our SaaS. We'll go down to app. We'll add it in here for now. We'll probably do a little bit of refactoring down the road. Okay, I'm going to call this one list style none, and we'll add that in here. So we'll say ul dot list dash style dash none, and very simply we'll just say list dash style is none. Okay, this, I don't know why this isn't recompiling, because it should be recompiling, but it's not. Oops. npm run watch. I think it was recompiling, it just didn't show on in the terminal quite yet. Alright, so that's compiled here again. Let's go back to this page. Perfect. We got list style none in there. Some other things we could do as well would be like, margin dash, or I think it's padding. I think it's padding left. I'm not really a front end guy, so in terms of my CSS, but we'll just give that a value of 0. Come back out here. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So now everything lines up as it should in that list. One thing I don't like here, you got the actions button. I don't like how much room we've given it here. I can click F12, bring this up. Let's go out to, let's click on that view. We'll do this at 100%. All right, where does that look good? Well, that looks decent there. It doesn't look great. But let's say from MD on, we want it to take up less space here. So these are just some Bootstrap classes, and again, this is kind of some housekeeping. At the beginning of the last video, you saw I did some of the housekeeping there too. So MD2. Maybe we'll do this column dash MD dash 2, and we'll say dash should be 8, right? Okay. Yeah, that looks a lot better for me, to me. Okay, how does that look? So, I mean, I have a pretty big screen here. It's a 27-inch. Yeah, most of your users are going to be using this probably on just maybe a 20, 24-inch, their laptop, 15-inch, 17-inch, somewhere in there. So we're not too, don't need to be too particular with that. But that looks a lot better now. So, okay. So there's a couple things we want to do in here. Let's get out of this mode. We'll close our console. One, I want to be able to add actions now to each prospect. So actions in terms of, say, sales, things like that. And my background is in sales, sales and estimating. So that was kind of the reason I actually moved into programming, was to build out tools that would make my life easier. And one thing that's very common in CRMs is having an activity that you record per prospect. So I'm kind of going off the top of my head here. I'm not. I haven't pre-planned this out or anything. So we'll see how this goes. But you'll see my methodology for going about all this. One other thing I'm going to add is maybe a button block to this item. This is g-block. Maybe I have to have button block here for that to work. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, okay. I like that a lot better. So that looks good now. And that'll be a block for all the sizes, basically. That'll take up its particular column container. Okay, good to go. So let's go in here and we'll say maybe add activity. For now, we'll put that in the actions button as an option. So we'll say route admin prospects edit. In this case, I'm going to say, what do we want to do here? We could have an activities view, which will take us to kind of another dashboard for that particular prospect. But in this case, we want to be able to, let's go to activities actually. We'll create an activities view. So we'll say activities, and then again, it'll be the same prospect, and we'll say view activity on there. Okay, right now, if I refresh, we're going to throw an error because that route hasn't been created. So let's go ahead, find out where that route is in our routes, web, prospects, and look at that. Wow, we got a lot of stuff in here already, hey? Okay. Let's create a group, basically. So we'll say activities. What else should we do in here? Activities, group. We'll say base path. We'll create a separate file for this because we're probably going to be adding a number of things in here. Maybe we'll have even other sub files just for organizing this. Okay, so routes, web, prospects, activities.php. Close that off there. I do actually have to. Okay, that's better for me. See more of it on one screen. So we got web prospects. We don't have a activities file, so let's create a file. We're going to end up creating a directory in there as well. So we'll say activities.php. All right. I'll add some things in here for my own knowledge, basically. So this is admin prospects activities. Great. And we'll go like this. So this is going to take us to the dashboard. So we'll say prospect activities controller class, and we'll send that over to the index method, and we'll call this one dashboard. Sorry, not dashboard. Name dashboard. One other thing we need to do is we need to go back to prospects. And we need to add where it says name in here. Activities. Dot. Very important, that dot, right? And we'll go back to, so now we'll create this. So let's go ahead and add another terminal in here. PHP artisan make. And it'll be admin, prospects, activities. And we'll say prospect activities controller. Activities controller. Okay, let's bring that one in. Control-Alt-I brings that one in, and then F12 will bring us to this actual one in here. Okay, so let's create that index method. I had somebody comment the other day that I could, create a resource controller, this or that. A lot of the times, it is a nice little function to have, but often, there's a few methods in there I don't use because it generates like 9 or so methods, I think. And sometimes I don't use it. I look at it, I see a lot of bloat when I do that. That's my personal preference. Everybody's different, right? Let's also pass through the prospect. We'll bring that model in up here. Okay. And we'll say prospect. Great. Now we'll go admin dot prospects dot activities dot index. Oops. Okay. And then we'll also pass through. We can use the compact method, or we can use pass through an array, key value pair array. In this case, I'll just do compact. Okay, so we need to come down here now. We need to go to resources and views, and then under admin, prospects, I will create a new file, activities/index.blade.php, and we'll say b extends, and this one should be admin.layouts.app. Now I work in several different code bases on a weekly basis, so let's double check this. Views admin. No, I think it's actually just layouts. Admin partials. So it's just views layouts app. Okay, so layouts.app. Alright, and then we'll do b section. Well, let's do b title. Yeah, b section. We'll do that. Section title. Sorry, I have to go back to this and actually find out what I have up there for the title portion. Oh, nothing. I haven't actually added that in here. Well, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say bstack. Byield. And we'll say title. Okay. So now section title, and we can pass through our title in here, which would be activity. Well, we could start with their name first, actually. So we could go prospect dash name. Pardon me. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Prospect name. Profile activity. Alright, I'll come back here. Yeah, we have a space between there. Alright, now let's add another section in here, and this will be content. And let's get a look at what some of our other files look like for actual content. So, Well, that's wrapped in a container. Okay. So container .card .mt-3 .card, and then where did that work out to? D-flex h1. Okay. h1. Sorry. So say h1, and this will be prospect activity. And we'll do small.text-muted as the class. And we'll put in there that particular prospect's name. Okay. So showing all prospects. Create a prospect. Sorry, this is for the index on prospect. So let's prospect activity. Okay, so what do we need to do here? We got prospect card. So let's come in here and we'll say dashboard. And we'll see if that actually works for us in here. No, it doesn't. Okay. Admin prospects activities dashboard. Okay, let's go down to our routes. Is not defined. Okay, admin prospects activities dashboard is not defined. So name dashboard. Prospects in here. Name activities. Oh. Okay. And that's how we look from there. Okay. View activity. We got prospect activity. I don't know why that looks so ugly. Let's see what's up with that. Prospects activities. There we go. So it has to be card dash body. So because of this cold, my brain might not be functioning at full capacity. But it doesn't look like we're passing the prospect's name through. Prospect activity. But the name is not coming through. That is odd, because we have the name down here. That way. Let's go back to the controller. That sent us to this page, basically. So prospect. What else? App models prospect. Okay, so we'll die dump this. Oh, that's odd. Why is it saying prospect 2? We'll go back to the prospect card. Oh, yeah, I know what's going on here. Duh. Alright, let's go back here, refresh the page, view activity. Great, and now we're actually passing through that information in there. Okay, that's good. A little troubleshooting, which is fine. Let's go now to our view for the prospects activities. And, sorry, let's actually go back to the controller. Let's get rid of this function. Okay, perfect. Prospect activity test. Okay. Alright, now we'll go to, we'll go back to activities page here. We're going to add a div with a margin left of auto so that we push all the way to the right. And we're going to add a button group drop down. Nope, not that one. Drop down default. Okay. And we'll say actions here. We'll do dash outline, dash secondary. Yeah, I don't like that to be too large on the top there. Just a personal preference. Drop down dash menu dash right, which is great. Okay. Now in here we could say add an action, and we could go route. We'll say admin dot prospects dot activities dot create, and then in here, of course, we need to add our prospect. I think we can just actually pass through prospect, and that's going to be fine. In a lot of my projects, I don't even use the route parameter in here. I found now, as I've been a developer for a little while, especially working with MVC frameworks like Laravel, that I kind of have my own, I've got my route naming conventions down, so I never actually have to change. I've never really found a big need to change that. Plus, a lot of applications I end up building just use APIs created with Laravel or created with Node and Express that way. I'm going to take a sip of tea here, guys. Or people. Anyways. Okay, so add action. If I refresh now on this page, I'm going to come up with an error because I don't have activities create in my routes file. So let's go back to the routes file. We'll go route get. And we'll say prospect. And we're going to say create. Prospects activities controller class again. And we'll create in here. We'll name this route create. And then from here on, we should not have any issues with that. Great. Add action. Okay, so we don't have the prospect activities controller with create. The next thing we're going to run into in here is, let's see here. We'll say public function create. We want to pass through the prospect, of course. And we want to return a view in here of admin.prospects.activities.create. And we'll send the prospect through this way. All right. Now, let's see here. All right. Now we got to create a view. We have to create this view in particular. So let's go down to resources, views, admin prospects, activities, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do create.blade.php. Okay. So this isn't going to look like overly pretty to start with, but it will be functional. Layouts.app, view section. Sorry, I have to do it this way because I don't want the opening and closing tags. We'll say title, and we'll say create an activity for dash name. All right, and we'll say b section content, and put a container element in there, and we'll say .card.mt-3 body, a d-flex, .ml-auto, and then we're going to have to do a button drop down in there, sorry, drop down default. We'll say actions. We'll just say view. Let's see here. Activities dashboard here for now. Let's go ahead and add our route in here. Sorry I'm not as talkative today. admin.layout.prospects activities.dashboard, and we'll say prospect. I'm going to take another sip of tea here. Alright, now we got that. Let's add an H1, and we'll just say create activity. And again, we'll add the prospect's name here. Yeah, okay. Let's see how this looks. Great, there we go. Moving forward. Let's create dash outline. No, sorry. B10 dash SM. I'll say dash outline. Drop down. Great. Okay. So this is looking good. So prospect activities. Create activity. Actually, you know what? This one back here, it should say prospect activities. Little thing, but okay. Now, an activity is like going to be maybe a phone call, an email outreach, just something that they do with the client to move that forward. To move that particular thing forward. So in create activity, we're going to want to add a few things. So first of all, let's create some notes in here for ourselves. Duck card 3. Say an H3. So actually, I need to do an H3 in there. We'll just start our form in here, basically. Actually, we'll set up our route here anyways. Okay, so this one here is going to be admin dot prospects dot activities store. So we're looking for the store method in here. We'll pass through the prospect information. We're going to say method is post, and I don't think we're going to be adding RF. Okay. Now typically, like admin activities, so reaching out to a prospect, we could do a phone call, an email. There's going to be a number of activity types that we might have to that we might do, right? So we should probably start by putting that in a drop down of some kind. So we'll go form group dot row. We'll say label dot -3. That usually works well for me. And so what should we say? This is activity type. All right, I'll call them -md-9, and we'll create a select in here with a class of form control. And we will say type. So basically, we haven't created the migration for this or the model for this activity type because we need to know, what basically, what's going to look right in terms of information that's passed through to them. So It could be a number of things that we do here, but first of all, typically we might have to say a phone call. Okay, so we'll say phone call. Another option might be all right, email. We might even want to specify other additional details related to the activity, like what was the phone call for, or what stage does this particular prospect sit in, right? So is this a prospect who's working on closing a deal? Maybe they've got the documents out to the individual prospect, and we're waiting for papers to be signed, things like that, or maybe they have to send off papers, something like that. We'll say value in here. We can also do other in this case. So, okay. What we'll end up doing afterwards is we'll create the ability to dynamically update this list in particular, so that we can add, specific activity types that might come up, say, from business to business. Yeah. -3. So what else are we going to have in here? An activity type. We're probably going to want to write some kind of a note for this. All right. Sorry, not option. We'll say input.form dash. No, sorry, we'll say text area. Dash control, and we'll say notes. All right, let's add our placeholder text in here. Enter in your notes. Let's see here. If it's a phone call, we'll probably want to add some information in there. So, like, did they get the person on the line? Should they follow up again? Like, schedule a follow-up call. Maybe we should store some kind of a related document to that particular activity. So we've got a number of things that we could add in there. So let's we'll say activity type, phone call, email, other, notes. So I was actually looking at some other examples of things that we'll want to add in here. So for example, with this one, we're going to say, we'll add another one in here, and it'll be like, so this is activity type. Okay, that's great. So I'm actually going to say communication underscore type. And then in here, we want like kind of the reason basically. So give it a label. We'll say, let's see here. So what would be like the reason, 3, let's see here. Say activity itself. So this is one reason I like to model the data first in terms of a form, because I can easily add fields to a table, but then I find that there's a bunch of fields in the table or columns in the table that never actually receive values. Or I find myself adding more to the with additional migrations that I need to. So okay, so select form dash control. So we'll say type in this case. Let's get rid of this. All right, we'll say option. The value will be we might say, let's see here. First contact. And again, this will probably be a dynamic list, right? At some point. So first contact, actually let's do one other thing in here. Let's say, yeah, first contact, all right, we'll say prospecting. This would be a great opportunity for you guys to actually contribute if you wanted to, by going down into the comments and just say, hey, what else would you like to see in there, right? So first contact, what are some other activities that might happen, like, demo might be another thing. What's another item that might be in there? So prospecting, first contact, demo. We might even say this is definitely going to be something that we're going to make dynamic. Document signing, or we might actually say, document signing. We'll leave it at that. So created a demo, did a document signing, and then maybe we just want to do like, follow up. Follow up, okay. Perfect. So we'll leave it at that for now. What else? So we'll have the actual notes. Attach any, we might actually want to do things like attach some documents. So -3, we'll say, okay, documents. Sorry, -9. Input type is going to equal file. And the class is going to be form-control-file in there. And that's right. And we'll say, we need to give this a name actually. And we'll add multiple. So we might be receiving like an array of, or sorry, more than one document, right? Okay. So we'll say float right, and we'll say, all right, add activity. If you're doing this as a portfolio project for yourself or something, then it might be actually nice for you to. This is a great example of an area where you could actually add, a lot of your own input. Like, if you imagine yourself doing sales, what would you want to put in there? Or if you imagine yourself working on a project, what would you put in there, right? Okay, so let's go add that route. Okay, and we need the store route now. So in here we don't need to put this, we just need to make sure it's a post request coming through. Store, and we'll say store in there. One other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that this is multi-part form data. Otherwise it won't recognize any of the files coming through. Let's give that a go. Okay, so we have this here so far. I'm not sure how we might want to change this. Like we could definitely take some inspiration from other applications out there, for sure. So, and there might be additional things we would add based upon what that particular client needs. So if they are selling home refinancing or something, there might be some additional information that they need to put in there, right? Okay, communication type, great. Activity, notes. Okay, that's good for now. So yeah, we could say phone call, prospecting, first contact. We could say, all right, reached the prospect, and they'd be open to a demo. But demo isn't scheduled as of yet. So here's an example now that we know. We might need to schedule a demonstration, a demo with them, which means we might have to use this form also as the ability to create another activity or schedule another activity. So let's go ahead and actually do that now that we think about it. So in this case, we might say, okay, they need a demo. We'll schedule a follow-up. So let's see here. We'll say there's 3. All right, so it might be schedule follow-up, and let's call them -2-9, and we'll have to do like maybe a date time local or something. So local, sorry. All right, and then we'll say equals follow-up underscore date and time. What else should we add in there? Follow-up reason. That might be another example. We'll probably come back here. We'll probably do some housekeeping on this as well, as I think of what we should do for the next video. So, and we'll do this as a drop down in here. So we'll give this a underscore reason. All right. Let's create some options for this. So options might be, option. So one of the options might be, we could just say prospecting. So for me, when I look at this salesperson, it's just their cold lead. So yeah, it could be a few different things. All right, demo. What's another one we could do? So follow-up reason, prospecting, demo. We might say follow-up. What did I write up here? Yeah, follow-up. Follow-up date. All right. And what's something else we need to do in here? Follow-up. What will be another thing? We could say document signing. We might say like close sale. So there could be a whole bunch of reasons we do this, right? Follow-up reason, okay. And then let's add another notes section here for like notes for follow-up or something. Oops. So we'll say Okay, great. So communication type, activity notes, documents, schedule follow-up, prospecting. Let's select a reason. Let's select an activity. Let's select a reason in here. So let's add, oops. And we might actually put something else in here like other. Select an activity. Great, select an activity. I don't know why I did and. Yeah, this is definitely not going to go 2 hours today. I know my last video was a little over 2 hours, so maybe it was closer to 2.5, I don't remember. Okay, so we could schedule a specific type, so communication type, activity, select an activity, prospecting, first contact, demo, follow-up, document signing, other. Enter in your notes here. So let's go ahead and add some of this stuff in here. So we'll say this is a note. Alright, I have not reached this person yet. I will schedule a follow-up call for next week. Alright, I might want to add some documents in there, so I'll just take some images from a previous course that I did, and I'll put those in there. You can see them, it was on the other screen. And let's say we want to schedule this one in for next Friday. Pardon me. And let's schedule it in for, let's say we'll do it for like 10:30 a.m. Okay, perfect. Select a reason, so prospecting. Actually, you know what? I want to change this. I want to change this one more time. I want to say cold outreach. Cold outreach is just like, you don't know the person, right? Let's see here. Copy this. So maybe this is just some kind of a lead, I don't know, a follow-up. But somebody who you want to touch base with to try to get them to be interested in your product or service. Cold outreach. Okay, I'm happier with that. Okay. Okay, let's go again. Again, I'll choose a couple images I have. We'll say next Friday. We'll say 10:30 a.m. Perfect. Select a reason. Cold outreach. Enter in your notes to help remind you. Okay, let's change that. Okay. And we'll say, all right, unable to reach. All right, try this person one more time, and then send them out of prospecting list. Okay. Now, we want to actually send these people somewhere, so let's go back to our post activities controller. We need to send them over to that method that we created. Store request, and we'll say return, and we'll see what we have here. Great, okay. So communication type, phone call, type, notes. We'll schedule follow-up for next week, follow-up date, follow-up reason, follow-up notes. So this is going to break down into basically two sections. We're going to create one as a schedule for an activity, and then we'll create one as a like a completed activity. And probably what we'll do, so we'll end up having two tables here. One to record the activity that was done, and then one to create a log of whether or not, of it being scheduled. So for example, this one here, okay, so let's go ahead. We'll start with that. Let's create our migration in this case. So PHP artisan make model. What's one thing we can add in here? So what do we want to call the model? We'll say activity. And we'll create a migration for that. Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay, now let's go to create activities table. You find that again, database migrations. It'll be the last one down there. A couple things we need to add in here. One, we definitely need to add in the prospect ID. So that'll be an unsigned integer. Unsigned because it's going to be a positive value. Okay, and that one is going to be required. Unsigned integer. Alright, let's see here. Let's come back down to create, see what we have written in here. So, communication type, perfect. Activity type. Okay, so that's just going to be type in there, and then communication type. Okay, so string activity notes, and then documents. Okay. So documents we're going to assign to an activity, and we're going to assign it to a prospect. All right. Great. So let's see how we want to do this. So type notes. I'm going to add one more field in here, which might be like a metadata field, which will basically be stored as an array. Now the other thing we're going to need to do is create a prospect document model and migration. So let's go document -m. So let's go to prospect document. I'll say prospect documents migration down there. A couple things we're going to want to do in here is, first of all, this is always going to have a, let's see here, unsigned integer. This is always going to have a prospect ID for obvious reasons. We'll also add in here a table dash, we'll say unsigned integer again, and this one will be an activity ID. That one we won't necessarily fill out. You might also want to create the ability to add some notes. Let's say text notes for that actual file. And what else do we want to do in here? One text notes. Let's see here. Oh, and then we need to do the actual path. So this will be our path to our actual file that we go ahead and then we actually store. So, okay. Let's go back. So we've got these two migrations. I'm relatively happy with them the way they are. I don't think there's anything that we're going to be adding anytime soon. So we'll say artisan migrate, PHP artisan migrate. Great, so those are done. Now, let's go back to create activity, prospect activities controller, activities underscore. Okay. Let's see here. What did we name our files? We named it. Oh, we just named it documents. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. We'll get some information here if we actually send this across. I'm going to refresh one more time. Okay. Well, let's see here. Alright, so actually what I want to do here is print out the details on each one of them. So, and then we'll go from there. Request documents as document. Say echo. Document. Okay. Let's give this another go. Nothing. Well, what the heck? For each. That's weird. That's not actually weird. I don't know if this is something that was changed, maybe. But let's try this method instead. Documents. Let's see what happens here. No, hold on. I'll check those out again. Nothing. Let's see here. Well, I know we can retrieve it by using this particular method for the individual files labeled as documents. Let's make sure. Yes. Okay, so we have that in there as documents. Our enc type is multi-part form data, so that's good. Let's see here. Okay. Let's actually go back here. Let's see if this makes a difference. I can't remember, to be honest with you. So let's go in here. I'll refresh this. Okay, let's make sure things look correct here. Okay, let's see what this does for us. Perfect. Okay, that's great. That's great. So we have all the information there for the actual files themselves. Okay, pardon me. Let's see here. So now what we need to do is we actually need to handle the uploading of each of those files. So each one will create, so first of all, we'll create a path. And this one will be, we'll say document -store, because we should have that method available to us. And then in store, we'll say prospects / now we do have under store, we do have, technically we are sending through the prospect. Or we should be. Let's go back to our routes and make sure we're actually doing that. Yes. Yes, we are. Okay, that's good. So prospects. Alright, so we'll say documents / so prospects, prospect ID is what we'll use next. We'll say /documents. Yeah, then we should just be able to leave it at that, right? So it'll be all within that folder structure there. Okay, good. Let's go with this. So path document. Now what we need to do is actually create the record. So we'll say doc equals document. Sorry, create. And then we just need to look basically back at our migration. So we want to add the prospect ID here. We want to add the activity ID. And we haven't created that yet, but we will. We don't have any notes to put on this particular one. We might add the ability to create notes in there, but we'll say path. Okay. So that's great. That works in there. Now, let's go to, now sometimes there's not necessarily going to be files, so we only want to run this if we have the files, right? So all right, let's cut all that out. Okay. Great. All right. Now, we need to create a, sorry. So in this case, we need to create the activity itself. And that will equal, so I don't like the way that works. I don't know why I did activity on there. It should be something more like prospect activity. Okay. So you're going to see me basically have to go, you're going to see me go back here and change a few things like in our model and whatnot. So, pardon me. Let's go activity here. We'll say prospect activity. We're going to have to rename this to prospect activity. Let's go back to Okay, great. So we got that there. Let's back to there. Let's make sure we get rid of activity because that no longer exists technically. Let's go to our migrations here. We'll say prospect underscore activity. So this is going to change the table name. Then what we need to do here is we need to go, I know you can't see it, it's a little bit on the bottom of my screen, so. Okay, so it needs to be PHP artisan migrate rollback. Great, okay. Now in here, in case we need to roll this one back, we need to make sure it says drop if exists prospect activities. Okay. Artisan, we'll go migrate again. Okay, great. Now that works. We brought in prospect activity in there, and now if we go back here, we see we need to put the prospect ID, communication type, etc., etc. So, sorry, let's try this. ID. All right. What else do we have to do here? We've got notes. Notes as well, right? So, all right, perfect. Request type, notes, that's great. So we create the activity in here. Now, not public function, sorry. My brain's not working as it should today. We want to return a response with to a particular route, which in this case is going to be admin.prospects.show. No. Activities.dashboard. Then we're going to pass through prospect in there. And we'll say with successfully created activity in there. Now, let's see here. Make sure I brought in, okay, so it looks like I brought everything in. And we hope it's all going to work, but we will see. So successfully created activity. Response route, admin prospects activities dashboard. Now let's go back to our index page here for the activities. And let's add an alert. So we need to do bif. So we need a blade, we'll use a blade directive in here. We'll say if success exists, then all right, let's see here. Okay, so let's try this now. We'll refresh. Continue. Possible to create the root directory, storage app. Oh, it needs to be public prospects. Alright, now let's, we're going to go back out to Tinker here. What I do need to do, I'm just going to delete prospect activity. Let's see what shows up. I don't got anything that shows up. Let's exit this because this is technically a new model that was created. So, prospect activity. No, that's weird. App /models / prospect activity. Okay, great. So there it is. So we basically need to delete this first one here. So we'll say first, delete. Okay, great. So that's done. Okay. Let's go back to our main page here. Let's refresh, resubmit the data. Still impossible to create the root directory. Well, that is an odd one. And I think, let's look back here. Okay, I think this is the issue. I think it's because I have a space in there. Like that would throw, maybe that's not going to throw a huge error in Windows, but in Linux, that is going to be an issue for us. Let's try this again. Factory route does not exist. Response factory route does not exist. Route, admin prospects activities, dashboard. No, sorry, this should be response, not response redirect. So response is something we use when we return in JSON, which is normally what I do with a lot of my applications, because this is to be honest with you, this is a little bit outside the wheelhouse of what I normally do. So, okay, so we deleted the prospect activity in there. Now let's try this one more time. Well, actually, let's go back to our storage. Public prospects 2. All right, great. So we probably, yeah, we'll just delete all of these. Yup, move those to the recycle bin. Let's give this a go again. Confirm form resubmission, yes. Great. Okay, so that's in there. We've flashed our success message. So successfully created an activity in there. Okay. That's great. Okay, so this is going to be where we track our activities for specific users. So we could print out kind of an example in there on that index page. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a card here that's going to have, let's add a note in here. Actually, I want to do this as a, I want to loop through this. So for each, and we're going to say prospect activity. We'll say prospect ID, and we're gonna add these things to our models and whatnot in here. So let's so we'll say prospect activity, prospect latest. We want to show our most recent ones up there first, latest, and we'll say paginate 10 results at a time. Sounds fair to me. And we'll say activity. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll create a card in here. And for now, I'm just going to print out the activity itself. But a couple things we need to do in here. One, we need to add this to our config file. So your config app.php. We'll scroll down. So prospect activity. Elemental P, R comes after A. Activity, and then activity. Okay, so that's going to make that available to us. Now, let's go to activity in there, and let's create a scope. So we'll say public function. You know what? No. Scope prospect ID. pass through query, and then we'll pass through the ID itself. And we'll return query as part of the builder here, where prospect ID is equal to ID. All right. Perfect. Now let's go back out to this page here. I can't remember if they do prospect underscore ID or if they do. We'll find out. It's either going to look like this or it's going to look like this. I think it's actually like this, but we'll see. Okay. And do we have any errors? No, we don't. Okay, great. I'm kind of curious for my own. Okay, yeah, so there you go. Camel cased, always. Perfect, so we have that information in there. Now we could do things like we could pull in the file information for the documents. So to make that happen, down here what we'll do is we will add with, and this will be documents. I want to say files, but I think we labeled this prospect document. So let's go to our prospect activity again. Public function, and then this is going to be documents. That belongs to, sorry, has many. Okay. And now you can see it shows up all of our documents in here. So now we have that added to this. If you want to make this look kind of pretty, we could, for the time being, while we're just working for the data, is we could just there's a blade directive called dump, and we'll say activity there. Great. So you can see now it has all of that in there. I wonder why it's changing the format doesn't look that great on here, does it? I might have to scaffold over some additional assets, but at any rate, it's in there. You can see it. Yeah. I'm going to go back to this because we can sort of muddle our way through this just fine. Okay, great. So I'm going to leave it there for now. In the next video, what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll do things like we'll actually properly, maybe some of you are pulling your hair out at this point, I don't know. But we do need to add into this method the ability to add or to create a new follow-up, which you know what we might do is we might have a separate form for scheduling a follow-up, and then we'll send that down a different route. Maybe we'll add some Ajax in there so that we can submit that form and then submit the rest of our form from the one create form page. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. So now that I know where this is going. The other thing we need to do is we need to add some validation. So we don't want to just send any file through, and we do want to control the size of the specific files. So what we'll do is we'll create our own specific request for that, for the validation, and then we'll return any errors that come up. So, all right, thanks for sticking with me here. It's been a little bit frustrating, of course, with my voice and the fact that I'm fighting a cold. But hopefully next week here we'll put out another video and continue this project. All right, take care.